Welcome to Pathway Stones Podcast. Here you'll find honest conversations about faith, family, struggle, purpose, culture, and the lessons that the journey teaches us. There's no scripts, no polished performances, just real people talking about the things that matter most. Our faith isn't something we turn on and off when the cameras start rolling. It's simply the road that we've walked. It's the foundation beneath our feet, and the reason we kept putting one foot in front of the other. So whether you share our faith, you're still searching, or you're just looking for something real, you've got a seat at this table. So pour yourself a cup of coffee, pull up a chair, and let's leave another stone on the trail. Welcome to Pathway Stones. Welcome back, Bruce.
Hey, it's good to be back, Zach.
So you guys have been on a world tour of
Well,
sorts.
not a world tour, but we were on vacation.
Yeah, so how was Florida?
It was great. Yeah, we flew into Miami. We've done this trip before. We drove down into Key West, spent some time there.
Fished?
We fished, we snorkeled, we went to Key Isla Morada, which is kind of in the middle, and spent 5 days there. So,
Good stuff.
and then we flew home. It was hot.
Yeah.
Stayed by the pool a bit.
Pools are essential in Florida.
We had blast.
Yeah. I'm glad you guys are back. We missed you guys dearly. I was so excited you guys got to go away on a vacation that didn't involve a hospital.
No, that's a future episode.
That's another episode. We really missed you guys. We've been getting a lot of really good feedback from the first couple episodes, and
It's very encouraging.
Really encouraging. It's really nice to know that our journey is not going in vain, right? These hard lessons are very valuable, and whenever we have walked down a path and have been down a path that someone is coming up behind us, it's very nice to know that maybe a little bit of wisdom, things that we've learned from the School of Hard Knocks. So one of the ladies that has been giving us a little bit of feedback brought something to my attention. Just recently we hiked the Appalachian Trail.
Right.
Don't want to get into that, but she had followed along with me and my family as we were out there.
Right.
And she said that we're missing a really essential element or an analogy, symbolism in our Pathway Stones idea that we have going on. And one of the things she said was, not only does God use those things in our life, those obstacles, those seasons that we go through to help pave us to our future, but that also that we can. So there's this activity. There's this thing that they do on the trail. They do a lot of really weird things on the trail, and if you were to just walk up on this, it would seem a little weird. But when you're out there walking, you come across stacked stones. Have you ever been out?
Yeah, I've actually seen them.
And they just, the larger ones, and then it just kind of goes up as a pyramid. And what she was telling me was that comes from people who have been down those paths before, especially when the path was not as blazed as it is now. To let people know, hey, you're still on the right path,
right,
and that these things that we're talking about are it's kind of our responsibility to leave markers saying, hey, we've been through this way,
right.
And there is a way out of this darkness if you just pay very close attention to the things that we've left behind, the markers and stuff. So just some really good feedback.
Oh, great feedback, and we need to be thinking about that as we blaze further trails here with what we're doing with the podcast.
So when we left off, we kind of left it at a cliffhanger. You remember?
Mm-hmm.
We had discussed the worst day of your life, which was going to wake up your younger son and finding out that he's nowhere to be found. Like you exhausted all of the locations, the school, the friend's house that he may have been sleeping at, and all of the different places in your house, and then to only get on and find out that there's stipulations in the law that says that they have to be missing 24 hours, 48 hours, something like that.
Yeah, at the time it was 48 hours.
48
where
hours.
I was,
to get anybody to jump in and help.
Right.
Miraculously, God brought in the FBI. And I don't mean to rush through this. I just kind of want to catch up so that we can jump back into where we left off, because there's so much content here.
Right.
Like I can't even imagine what you must have been going through. Like looking for your sons. We've accidentally left our kids behind, been in a rush to get packed up,
Right.
and then turn around and was like, hey, where's Chance?
Right.
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 And he was the one that was always just kind of wandering off. But I've never experienced anything like that.
Yeah.
You know, every time that we've always lost our kids, it's either at our parents' house or at church or at a friend's house, and we knew exactly where to go. And where we left off, it was just kind of dark.
Yeah. We had no clue what outcome would be.
Yeah.
We don't know if he was alive or not alive.
Yeah.
We didn't know any of those things. The FBI just basically said, look, if we don't get him here.
Yeah. If we don't intercept him, right?
Yeah, if we don't intercept him in L.A.,
wow.
very good chance you won't see him again. Because we know what's going on. It's not like they didn't know.
Right.
They knew about this guy.
And what we're really talking about is human trafficking.
Human trafficking, exactly.
And, I was thinking about our conversation, just kind of recapping in my mind. Human trafficking is as old as civilization.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But your son probably had to be one of the first of the online predators being attracted, because we're talking mid 90s, right?
Yeah. So there were obviously others, because this guy had a track record, right? But it was not something that you heard about a lot.
It's not as common as it is today, and it's
unfortunately it's very common today.
Extremely.
But it was not so common then.
Wow. I just a couple of years ago, we have a friend that is very much in this area that is going in and rescuing women and children out of human trafficking. And I had the opportunity of going to Kansas with him and meeting some partners, and they had some of the operators, and we heard some horror stories. This is a very dark thing. One of the things that they said that just blew me away, one of the operators that is actually going in, and they said, obviously we all know who the prime targets are.
Right.
Those are the kids that come from very dysfunctional homes.
Right.
But he said you wouldn't believe how close of a second the next demographic is.
Yeah.
And I said, well, what is the next demographic? And he said, it's your kids.
Yeah.
He said it's middle America. It's kids that come from homes that never see it coming. Right. And they get so involved in it, and they're involved in it above their head, and they don't know how to get out, and they're blinded to the reality of this could never happen to them, right?
Yeah, that's exactly where we were.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of thoughts that go through your head, right? Which is why, and then how could this have happened to us? Of all people, how could it have happened to us? And reality is, there were signals. There are things that you when you look back, you go, oh, well, maybe that was something I should have paid attention to.
Well, if there are those that are listening in that didn't catch the first episode or two, and we recommend go like and share those episodes, and it'll catch you up on where we are. But your son had been through an extremely tragic season.
Yeah.
And he was prime target.
Yeah, he was. I mean, he lost a friend, a very close friend in the church. He could not come to grips at all with why God would allow that to happen.
Yeah.
And, and you get in these little discussions with people, on the internet or on your computer and things like that. And he did that, and they all start off to be very innocent. And 9 times out of 10, they are.
Right.
But there's some predator out there who, gets his confidence, and that's what happened.
So pick us up where we left off. You guys had been in contact with the FBI.
Yep.
They intercepted your son in L.A. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
And
the final destination was supposed to be Fresno.
Right.
They captured him in L.A.
So your son, that is, not the predator.
My son.
They weren't able to get their hands on the predator, right?
But it had been something that they'd been trying to do for a long time. And the guy was pretty slick about not getting caught.
All right, so let's pick the story up right there. Tell us what it felt like to be packing your bags to go out there and pick up your son, and knowing that he was this close, or that you guys were this close to never seeing him.
Yeah, so it's interesting because you kind of forget about that part of it because it's like, I got to get packed now. We got to get on a plane. We got to go get him.
Yeah.
Right. And, it's like, thank God they have him. And you're praying. It's like, oh, Lord, you answer our prayer. Thank you so much. And then it's like, okay, what are you going to see when you get there?
Right.
What's it going to be like?
You guys were coming from Illinois?
We're Indiana, northern Indiana at the time.
So flying out of like Indianapolis?
Flying out of South Bend, Indiana to Chicago.
How far of a flight was that?
Well, Chicago, the flight to Chicago was 35 minutes,
right.
but the flight to LA was 3.5 hours.
Man. Yeah. Like what was going through your mind?
A mixture of things, right? I mean, one was obviously relief.
Yeah.
That they have him, and we're going to get him. We're going to bring him home. So that's one aspect of it. Probably the thing that's kind of really whirling around our minds at the time is, okay, what do we do next?
Yeah.
What's the go forward, right?
Now?
Because now we're going to get him, and then what do we do next? I mean, and you're tossing around compassion versus discipline.
Right.
That's
always
and so so you're dealing with that dynamic and hoping you got it figured out when you see him.
Yeah. That's talking about compassion and discipline. That's a line that I don't think that any of us truly get right. It's such a narrow path to walk. I mean, there are times when our kids have really messed up. Heck, there were times when I know as a child I really messed up. Right.
Me too. Yeah. And all of us have been there.
I've gotten all of the disciplinary actions, the switches and the paddlings, or all of those things that ever happened to me. I deserved all of them but one. There was one that was absolutely not, and I tell my parents all the time, y'all obviously weren't walking in compassion in this moment, right?
Right.
And my parents,
we've all been there.
My parents are great parents, right? They're I mean, top 10 in all of history, but even they got it wrong. And how did you and your wife how did you walk out that compassion and that area of discipline and compassion? Did you get it right?
Well, obviously, every decision you make around your children, you second guess those, right? But for us, it was a little bit easy when we first got there, which is there he is sitting in an office talking to an FBI agent, and he's a 15-year-old kid, and that's what you see.
Wow.
And so it's just like, right then, it's all about compassion.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, oh my God, he's alive, he's here, and guess what? It's like he hasn't got a firm grip on where he was and how close he was to danger.
So I want to bear in a little bit more on this, because my mind is racing about this compassion and discipline thing, and because it bleeds into every part of our life. I mean, you and I both have a background in the church, and I know we've been in churches where they've been really big on compassion and not really big on discipline. And then we've also been a part of churches that excelled in the discipline, and there was no grace and there was no mercy or compassion. And it's very easy to see abuse when it is all discipline and no compassion. It's really hard to see that abuse is still an abuse of our responsibility when we're all compassion and we're no discipline.
Yeah. So, and we'll talk about this more as we go, but that discussion or that break in understanding is the beginning of enabling.
Absolutely.
And I think this is where people don't a lot of times get it right. And I can just tell you, we're moving fast forward. We're going to discuss about the fact that, I was a terrible enabler.
Wow.
Right. And I think that started with maybe being a little bit over too compassionate at the beginning, and not probably not handling that
Yeah.
Because the thing you're worried about is if I am I going to push him over the edge and we're going to repeat this whole thing again,
Wow.
And so you're trying to walk a very fine line there. I can tell you what though, when we first got him, it was all about compassion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of.
Yeah. It was like I'm not going to lower the boom on this guy until I get him home. Right now, let's get him out of California.
Yeah.
It was that kind of a thought process.
You guys were even under the gun as far as getting to California, right? Because if
Yeah,
you didn't pick him up within a certain amount of time, he was going to go into this.
Yeah, he would
child
be.
resistance.
Yeah, that's right. So I mean, it would look like. I mean, in California is a bit of a liberal place,
Right.
So their views on things maybe are a little different than they are where I am now and where I was then. But it was like, look, if you don't come and get him, then he's going to end up in Child Protective Services because he's a minor.
And that's a whole nother level
and that's a
of
whole,
complicated.
that's a whole complication that you don't want to get into. So you got to get here today.
Wow. You kind of hit on something in this conversation. You started talking about worry and something that you didn't say, but I know is there because we've had this conversation also, and I don't want to jump way ahead of our of our stuff because we do have kind of an idea of where we want to take this conversation, and we're going to talk about enabling. We're going to talk about some of this other stuff, but in those moments, it's very easy for fear to root itself in the situation. How did you guys handle the worry, the fear, I mean, there were moments of relief on the plane. You've got 4 hours of flying, and however many hours of processing while you were there, and then on your way home, the return trip. Did you guys jump in a plane, come directly back? Or,
no. So what we ended up doing is we got there. I think we got to him around 10 p.m. at night.
Yeah, that night.
That night.
Oh wow.
And so we had called ahead and booked the hotel.
Wow.
Right. And so the idea was that we were all gonna have 2 beds, and he was gonna sleep in the bed next to us, and we were gonna get up the next morning. Fly
So
home.
you guys got there at 10 p.m. In California time, right? Which is behind.
Yeah, it's 2 in the morning.
Indiana, right?
Yeah.
So it's 2 in the morning.
Right.
So we're almost 20 hours into you having discovered that he was missing.
Right.
And I can't the emotional roller coaster that has to have happened in that 20 hours of and the things running through your mind. How do you keep your mind from just spiraling?
Well, I think one of the things that's built in us is, how to deal with catastrophe, right? And there are certain things you don't think about, and maybe you think about them later, but it's like, right now the task is we got to get there, we got to get him, got to get him into our custody, we got to find a place to stay, keep him safe, and then get on the plane and fly home the next day. So you're holding your breath during the night, right? That he's not going to decide to get up and leave the room and do something stupid, right? So it's, you don't sleep a lot that night, but
you guys didn't move the bed in front of the door.
But I sure thought about it.
I know that move, by the way.
Yeah.
It's been used on me a couple of times. But so you guys show up there, 10 o'clock at night. What was his attitude when he saw you guys? Was he relieved? Was he?
Boy, that's a tough one. Yeah, I would say he's relieved.
Yeah.
But he's relieved not because he understood the danger. He was relieved because they were showing him dead kids.
Oh wow. So they were trying to get him scared straight type.
Right.
This is where you were going.
Yeah.
Don't do this
So
again.
I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to see this stuff anymore. But I don't, what went through my head is this 15-year-old does not have a grasp on, what was going to happen next.
Wow.
Didn't understand it.
So and I know that this is probably causing you to kind of assume some things, but you were there. What do you think his mindset was as far as seeing you guys? How did he expect you guys to come in the room? I mean, did he expect you to lower the boom, or did he expect the compassion, or was it?
Yeah, I think I think knowing me, he probably expected he was going to get the boom lowered on him.
Yeah.
Right. And that was all diffused by what I saw. Number one, and number two, he said, "Look, I just want to go home."
Wow.
You know.
So we talked a little bit about the prodigal son and how close this story hits to home,
Right.
considering this story we're talking about.
Right.
Listening to you tell that aspect of the story that maybe he expected you to lower the boom, and what you did is you just fell on his. To me, I see the story of the prodigal son being played out.
Right.
He had prepared this entire excuse, this pre-prepared speech that he was going to give his father.
Right.
I just want to be one of the servants.
Right.
I don't need grace. Just let me earn.
Yeah. The parallel here for him, though, was I just want to go home.
Yeah. Just want
Right.
to go home.
And if you go back to the prodigal son story, you see that very vividly.
Oh yeah.
With the prodigal son.
Yeah.
Now he went a step further than my son did, and we'll get to that. But it was, I want to go home.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what goes on at home.
Right.
With me, I just want to go home.
Yeah.
Right. And so we had to live that out that night, and then the plane ride back the next day.
So was he pretty agreeable? Did he try to slip away?
No. He just wanted to go home.
He's just ready to
go home. And but again, the thing that you need to grasp here is he didn't view what he did as any more than this guy was my friend and he just wanted to hang out with me. He didn't totally get that until days later, and that I got to be honest with you, it's a little disappointing that he couldn't figure that out, right? But he didn't, right? So it was, I want to go home. It wasn't, I'm so sorry. There was no, I just want to go home, right?
Yeah.
So we were able to get him home.
How did that realization hit him? Like what was going on when he finally understood? Hey, I was almost in a very serious situation.
Huh. So let's go through a couple steps before we get there.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So we get him home.
Yep.
We give him some time by himself, and I have a strategy. Right. I'm going to sit down and say, "Okay, Aaron, let's talk."
Yeah.
Right. So sitting at that table, my wife's there, and we had played out in our mind that I'm going to read the prodigal son story and say, "I'm so glad you're home." So I did. I played it out, and I said, "You're home. I'm so glad you're home. We love you very much, and I'd do anything for you to not have to have gone through what you went through.
Yeah.
But you don't understand how close you were to being lost forever. And this person that you thought was your friend was a criminal.
Yeah.
And his intentions for you were not good." And I played that out. What came back to me was the shock of my life, which was, "You're wrong. That's not what was going on. And I don't think I should be punished for this.
Wow.
I don't agree with your rules. I'll do what I have to do, but I don't agree with what you said to me just then. I don't believe that, and I don't love you."
Oh man.
So here it is. We're laying out what we think is a stepping stone for him.
Yeah.
By us being able to show grace to him and gratefulness that he's alive and thankfulness and putting it in the right perspective, and it got thrown right back at us.
Wow.
Never expected that at all.
So there are people that are listening to this story that are going through something very similar.
Sure.
Okay. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
With the preponderance of people that are out there, and
Right.
Statistically, that
Right,
it has
right,
to
right,
be.
right.
But even beyond that, I believe that God allows us these moments. I just happen to believe there's some providence involved in what's going on here.
Sure.
I believe God is at work. I believe that maybe something that you and I have experienced and something that we've talked about is going to change the trajectory of someone else that's walking down the same path.
I believe that.
So let's kind of dig in here for just a second and kind of give let's leave some pathway stones for some people here. And I know when you're in these types of situations, it's very difficult to see the fight. It's very so there's a saying that says you're too close to the fire to see the flame. Right.
Yeah.
And while you said you had already thought through this whole process and you led in with the story of the prodigal son. The thing that maybe that you missed in this was he had already turned off on God.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think it was a big shock.
Yeah.
Right. Because I heard him cry out at night. For months. Right. How could you let this happen?
About his friend.
Right. And he's so angry at God. And then that translated into anger toward me.
Right. Why do you think that the anger? Why do you think that the anger that he had directed towards God began to translate towards the anger towards you?
Because I'm the guy. I'm the father.
You're the father.
I'm the father. Yeah. And he said oftentimes over the next months that I didn't really understand. I didn't understand it. And maybe I didn't.
Yeah.
But
do you think that there was? And I may be reading too much into this, but anytime that we've worked with young people and youth, and we would sing good songs like Good Father.
Right.
You could almost see some of the kids, they would mentally just flip off because the image of when we started talking about God as our Heavenly Father, the only image that they ever had was an image that only wanted them for their use. And I'm not saying that was the dynamic with you guys.
Sure.
But there's a vast responsibility that lands on us as fathers.
Yeah.
Jesus even in one of his teachings, he said if a son asks his father for a piece of bread, is he going to give him a stone?
Right.
Or if he asks for a fish, is he going to give him a snake?
Yeah.
And he says, you knowing how to be, you being corrupted men, if you know how to give good gifts, how much more does your Heavenly Father know? So he draws this parallel.
Yeah.
Do you think that maybe Aaron was maybe seeing his relationship with the Father, but it was through the lens of you? Because
I think so. Yeah, I do. And I think there's another dynamic which plays right into that, right? Which is there started to be this fissure of compassion between how I was thinking we should handle the situation with him, and then how my wife thought we should handle it.
Wow.
Right.
You want to talk about destructive.
Yeah. So I mean, if I look at his personality, it's much more similar to his mother's than mine, right? Where my older son's personality is a whole lot like mine. So I would say, I sat down with him and said, it's going to be repercussions, right? Number one, the state wants you.
Yeah.
And we're going to take you downtown, and you're going to meet with these county Mounties, and they're going to read you the riot act, and they're going to dole out some sort of punishment to you.
Yeah.
He goes, well, I don't think I should have to do that. I said, I don't know why you think that, but that's what's going to happen. And then number two, your days of being on the computer, wave at them because they're gone.
Right.
And then, but the whisper in the background is, now let's don't be too harsh.
And that was from your wife.
Yeah. And it's so it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And so that dynamic starts to, he starts looking for
the way to exploit that.
And that happened, I would say, day one after he came back, and that was something that we then ended up fighting for years, So he goes, well, I'm not going to go down and talk to the county people. Well, yeah, you are. You don't have a choice. What they ended up doing is they said, you have a choice. You can be in juvie for a little bit, or you can do 100 days of community service. Your choice.
Wow.
You know which one he picked.
Of course, the 100 days of community service.
Right. Which they then doled it down to like 60 days of community service. So after school, he'd have to go in and sweep floors or whatever they had him do for like 3 or 4 hours, and then he would come home.
Wow.
Right.
So you guys get Aaron home.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to work through the emotional setup here. As a father, you know, having come through that dark moment of we don't know where he's at.
Right.
And you go searching everywhere.
Right.
And exhaust everything, and then you finally get this little breadcrumb that leads you to another breadcrumb.
Right,
And then
right,
you finally
right.
discover, okay, we think we know where he is. We've got a pretty good idea.
Right.
And then being able, then getting the phone call from so you're going through this maddening. I mean this.
Maddening.
Yeah,
That's the word.
That's the word I'm looking for. This thing that's just driving you crazy because of it's completely out of your hands. And if something doesn't happen, I mean that's got to be one of the worst days of your life.
Well,
right?
it was. We started off with it was the worst day of my life.
Right, and then you get this phone call. Hey, we've got him.
Right.
It has to spark some kind of hope in you.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, there's a roller coaster ride that we went on for several years, but we, you know, that was roller coaster ride number one, right? Which is you're down in the bottom, not knowing what's going to happen. We got him, so now you're at the top. Yeah. You go get him, so it's all jubilation. Everything looks really good. You get home, and you know the next day is deflation. So you're down at the bottom again. And, you know, and it does, you know, it didn't go away with. Didn't go away quickly because the FBI said, you know what, we're taking your computer, and now we got your phone because this guy's not going to let up.
Yeah,
you know?
And that guy kept calling.
He kept calling for
you
2
even
weeks.
Spoke to him on the phone. Right?
I just spoke to him on the phone 3 times.
Oh man.
You know, he said, well, can I speak to Aaron? And I go, no, you can't.
Wow.
Well, I'm his friend. You can't speak to him. You know, and I had to play stupid for 3 or 4 weeks before he finally stopped calling because he was trying to reconnect.
So the redneck in me, I don't know if it's legal for me to say what I would have wanted to have done.
Oh,
and I can't imagine.
No idea.
Right. And we won't get into any incriminating statements on here, but we can. You guys can fill in the blanks.
Exactly.
Fill in the blanks.
Exactly.
We're not going to admit it, but y'all fill in the blanks. Explain to us a little bit. Here's where I'm going. All right, and I'll just let the cat out of the bag. When we went on the hike, it changed me. Right, and I don't want to keep going back to that, but right now that is one of the things that's just seared in my mind. That experience. There were moments where it took everything in the world just to get to this next point, and we could see it off in the distance. Right. There's the summit right there. If we can just make it to that point, we can finish this thing. And a lot of times, 9 times out of 10, it was a false summit. Yeah. And we would get to that point having exhausted everything inside of us just to get there. Just one step in front of the other. It was a constant just. It was more mental than it was anything. Right. And just making sure that once you get this step, that okay, now let me move my other foot just to get there, and to think, okay, it's going to get easier now, and then look and see on the other side of the summit that it was just a false summit, and there's another rise. We got to go up another 200 feet.
And I would say that that
had to be
the 2 or 3 months after that were exactly like that. Man. You know. And it's like, you know, we went to counseling with him, you know, and that looked like we liked this counselor. It looked like a big spark, right?
Right.
No, I'm not going back again.
Wow.
Don't ever ask me to go back again.
Wow.
And then struggling through school from being an A and B student to one who's, you know, barely making it, you know, and then, you know, I'm trying to discipline him. and it's not working. And I'll be honest with you, the support for the discipline on paper looked like it was there, but the reality was
The execution wasn't.
it wasn't.
Yeah, the execution of the discipline wasn't.
And so, and so that becomes, something that he can use, and he exploited that, and then 2 or 3 months, it was just like, am I going to get up tomorrow morning and not find him again? That happened every day. I'd get up every day, Zach, and say, I got to go run in there, and what am I going to find when I go in there?
You couldn't have gotten much sleep.
No, it was
Probably
tough.
every single sound in the house.
It was tough.
Had you is that him leaving?
Exactly.
Right.
It was tough.
Wow. So, talking about these false summits and these things that we put our hope in that aren't the thing, right? You guys got a phone call. Had a conversation. You were working for a pretty large pharmaceutical company as a bioengineer.
Well, I was in management at the
Biochemist?
time as a vice president at that time, and I got a call that they wanted me to, which was typical for big companies like that they want you to kind of move around a little bit. So they said, we want you to relocate to Boston area.
To Massachusetts.
In Massachusetts, yeah. And to say the least, that happened in November, so we kind of muddled through 2 or 3 months with him.
Just so that we have this correct, the day that you went in and found him missing was September-ish.
Very, very early in September.
And so November, just September, October, November, 3 months later.
3 months later.
You're getting having this conversation.
Yeah. And so I sat down with my family and said, look, it's what we got to go do.
Yeah.
And of course, neither one of my sons were, excited about leaving their friends. I mean, I get that, right?
Yeah.
But it was like, okay, this is what's going to happen. That's what we got to do. And that sent him down another hole.
Now, Aaron was going in. He was going to be a freshman.
He was a freshman. Yeah.
And
he was already as a freshman, 3 months into being a freshman.
And Joshua was going as
he was a junior.
A junior. Okay. So pretty substantially. I mean, they've already got their social system.
Oh, absolutely.
And you guys had been in
Northern Indiana for many, many years.
Many years.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. That's all they had ever known. Right.
Raised in the church and just
right.
had the school, the community, everything going on. And how did you guys see this opportunity?
Well, I'm a businessman, right? So, part of your career is there's an expectation that you're going to make some sacrifices for the firm, and you're going to go do some things that maybe, wouldn't be your choice.
Right.
But you say, yeah, I'm willing to go do that because it's just a new experience.
But on a personal level, how did you think it was going to affect your family?
I thought it was going to be tough for the boys.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that. I wasn't so much worried about my wife. I mean, she's pretty resilient.
Right.
And I figured that was going to.
Did you feel like maybe this was an answer to some of the struggles that y'all had?
I did. I mean, deep down inside, I'm sitting there thinking, we need a fresh start.
Yeah.
We need to get out of this environment. One of the best things that could happen for the whole family is for this to be like a fresh beginning. Mm-hmm. And so, I was very hopeful that that's what it would be for
everybody. They absolutely
everybody.
didn't see it that way.
Well, they didn't see it that way. My oldest son, eventually came to me and said, you know what? I'm game.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out there and I'm going to meet new people. It's going to be new experiences.
Well, he was in a good frame. He was in a good space, right?
Because I'm in, my younger son was, I'm not going.
Yeah.
Right. And then, of course, that's when the tough discussions happen where I say, well, yes, you are.
You don't have a lot of choices.
You're not getting a vote on this. You're going, right? And so, we got through Christmas holidays. We tried to make Christmas really, really special.
Yeah.
Right? Because, it was a big deal.
It's a distraction, kind of take their...
Right. And so the family's still in Indiana, and I'm now in early January starting to visit some of the locations that I'm going to be responsible for. So I happen to be in England.
Wow.
In
like the country, not
the country,
New England.
I'm in England. I'm in
old
England. Yeah.
Yeah.
We hadn't moved our house and hadn't bought a house yet or any of those things. But I was out there meeting some of my people, and I get a phone call from my wife because you got to come home. I go, why is that? Because Aaron just got kicked out of school.
Oh, wow.
He got kicked out of school? For what? Had drugs in his pocket.
Wow.
Drugs in his pocket.
Man. That had to be a gut
It
punch.
had no idea, right?
Wow.
You know, and I'll be honest with you, I look back at that, I've replayed that tape 100 times, and I did not see a symptom of that, right? You know, well, was I surprised by it? Shocked, yeah. Surprised, probably not.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, what are they going to do? Well, they're not going to let him back in school.
Now they were in public school.
Public school.
Public school.
They're not going to let him back in.
Wow.
So I called the principal, who happened to be my neighbor. He goes, Bruce, you know, my hands are tied on this one. I can't do anything. Well, we had 3 more weeks in Indiana before we made the official
So he was
move.
still in Indiana.
Yeah. Everybody was still in Indiana.
Okay,
yeah.
so
I was living in a hotel
the
room.
family hadn't transitioned to Boston.
We had just bought a house, or were in the process of buying a house that was new, and we were going to move into temporary living in Massachusetts until house was done, and then all of that.
Wow.
So, I get home, and it's like, I want to, I just want to discipline him in the most harsh manner I possibly can. And guess what? He didn't care.
Yeah.
He didn't care.
Man.
Because you can do whatever you want to me. I am who I am, and I'm not going to let it faze me.
Wow.
And we're talking about a kid who's now
15 years old.
15 years old. He turns 16 in January, but at that time, that's what we're dealing with here.
No prior drug
No.
use.
No,
nothing.
Nothing like that. None
This
of
is something that was completely born out of the season that you guys just walked through, and
Yeah.
wow.
And I've tried to look back at that several times, and I know the kid was hurting and he was looking for some sort of an outlet, and of course I don't think that's the right outlet,
Absolutely, yeah.
but and again, disciplining him did not have the effect that I hoped for. The concept of a fresh start for him in a completely different place did not have the impact that I thought it would.
Wow. How did you feel like you're in, was it London? Was England
I
somewhere?
was in actually in Wales.
In Wales?
Yeah.
So how did you feel when you got that phone call and they told you that they found drugs on him? I mean, what?
Yeah, I called my guy. He's picking me up in the morning. So I found this out really, really late at night, right?
Your guy being who?
Guy who worked for me.
Okay.
Over there, my top guy.
Yeah.
And so he's supposed to pick me up at the hotel next morning. He comes to pick me up. I said, I'm on a plane home.
Wow.
I got a personal matter, and I got to be home.
Wow.
Sorry. So I got on a plane, flew home.
How did you feel? I mean, what was going through your mind?
Oh my gosh, you kind of go on autopilot, right? Like right now I'm getting on a plane, and right now all I got to do is get on a plane and got to get home.
Yeah.
When I get home, I'll deal with whatever I have to deal with. Right.
Did you ever think in your, so we talked about the happiest day, and one of those being the day that they quit.
Yeah.
And by contrast, the worst day being the day that you realize he's not in your arms anymore.
Right.
Did you ever think, when they laid that baby boy in your arms, did you ever think
Not a chance.
that this was in your path?
No. I don't think anybody does, It doesn't matter what their situation is. But, I never thought that I would be where I was.
Yeah.
Right? But here I am. And, when we talk about the worst day ever, in that 4-month time frame, there were 50 worse days.
Oh, wow.
So, you think about how bad that was. The concept of you think that the next thing is going to be a good thing, and it turns out to be another bad thing. It was just,
False summit after false summit.
False summit after false summit, exactly.
Wow. Man, they, my mind is racing because I'm reliving all of these conversations that we've had up until now.
Yeah.
And the thought that comes to my mind was, you grew up in a home with an alcoholic father.
I did.
How in the world did you not end up going back and using alcohol and getting sucked into that cycle?
Yeah. So 2 things, right? Let's go back to episode 1, right?
Yeah.
Where we talk about the fact
Might
that
as well.
I said that I was never going to be that way.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. But the other part of it is, what do you have your soul clothed in?
Explain that a little bit.
A lot of us have grown up in church,
Yeah.
right? I certainly did.
Yeah.
And, I was very churched. I went to Christian college. I was very much involved in leadership at church. I prayed with my children. We did Bible verses and Bible stories together. So you do all those things. And the reason I never ended up like my father, for example,
Yeah.
is because of what I was clothed in. I was clothed in his righteousness.
Yeah. Yeah.
It matters.
Absolutely. I think the hope that and the faith that our lives are in his hands also. What's running through my mind right now is that he causes all things to work for the good of those who love him.
Right.
Right. And knowing you and I being tied into that truth and the belief that there's something bigger at play here.
Right.
And I think that ties into what being clothed in righteousness and it's his righteousness. It's not righteousness.
Exactly.
It's not ours by any stretch of the imagination.
And
It's
Zach, here's what the battle is.
Yeah.
The battle is you could try to make it about your righteousness.
Yeah.
But that's hollow.
Wow. So the big contrast is here, and what I hear you saying is, you could have turned to these things.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
But it would have been eliminating Christ.
Absolutely.
And it's not about what we do in our circumstances, but it's more about what he's done.
Right.
In our circumstances.
Right.
It's his righteousness.
Right.
It's his salvation, and salvation by our own hands. We can look at we're currently studying Ecclesiastes.
Right.
And been digging into chapter 2 where Solomon goes through. He says, "I tried all of it."
Right.
And literally he had the means to try it all. He said,
Exactly.
I did an experiment.
Right.
I was a teacher, so I did an experiment.
Right.
I tried women. He tried women over and over and over and over because he got married 700 times, right?
Yeah, not good.
Not good, right? I don't know in what world he would have thought that was going to be the answer to his words.
Right.
He started off so good, though. Solomon started off on such a good path. He said, I built gardens, I built vineyards, I built houses, I invested in relationships around me. I did everything that I knew to do, and I was
in his righteousness,
in his own hands. Right? He keeps saying this phrase that I don't think that we understand the magnitude of what he says. I found out that doing all of this stuff was like trying to catch smoke. Right. It's like a vapor.
Right.
It's meaningless.
Right.
He says it like 30-something times. And then he would follow that up with, I found out that everything in life was like a vapor under the sun.
Right.
And that whole idea of under the sun, and what he keeps repeating over and over and over is, I tried it outside of God. And
so let me tell you something that I think is important. If we go back to episode 1, talked about manure.
Yeah, right. And you were absolutely the optimist.
Right?
Yeah.
So even with my situation with my son, as bleak as that was,
wow,
I still believed
there had to be a pony somewhere.
There has to be a pony around here somewhere.
Yeah. Wow. Man, there's so much to this story. We could go on for hours.
Yeah, we could.
We
will go through a little bit more.
We're gonna come back the next time we talk. We're gonna get into the enabling, because I really feel like that's something we need to explore.
Yeah, absolutely. Matter of fact, I would say the next episode is really going to talk about worse and worse and worse.
Worse and worse and worse.
And enabling.
Yeah,
that's the best way to say it.
So we're gonna put a pin in this episode right now. I think the ladies are upstairs. They've got something good
cooking
for us
dinner. I think. Yeah.
So my favorite thing about coming over here is what we do after we're done with this.
Exactly.
We get to sit around. We get to
Exactly.
get to critique what just happened. But let's send everybody off, and we want you guys to know. Want to thank you guys for tuning in. We know that life's journey has a way of changing people. If you've walked it long enough, you know that.
That's right.
Some stones mark where you've stumbled. Some remind you of where God's carried you. And some are there because someone else had cared enough to leave a marker behind to say, hey, just keep going because you're not alone. This week, we just ask you to keep your eyes open for those pathway stones. And if you don't find one on the path, leave one because someone's coming behind you. Until next time, we'll see you down the trail.
God bless you.